Let's talk about something that happened during the week, actually. The economy. Andrew Bailey, the head of the Bank of England, rose the base rate of interest again. And actually, let's talk about other economic news. Roger Giwold joins me now. How are you doing, sir?
Very well. Thank you, Claudia.
Let's start by talking about where we are economically. So we were looking at Boris Johnson speaking to Talk TV this week, and really speaking up, bigging up the fact we've left the EU. It was a good thing. In fact, Brexit helped us when it came to rolling out the vaccine, doing it at the speed we have done. However, when you look at where we are compared to other Western nations, other European nations, we're quite behind. We're last. Why is that?
Yeah, it was marvelous to hear that on Talk TV's new program, Always Home Common Sense. We really were stars rolling out that vaccine.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If we'd still been in the EU, I don't know if they were way behind us. But he also spoke about cutting taxes, and that's great. Many people are saying that. Why do we have such high taxes?
So you agree with Boris Johnson taxes should be reduced? Liz Truss says the same thing.
He said it, Liz Truss said it. I've been saying for over a year, lots of people have been saying, how does having high taxes help reduce inflation? Somebody needs to buy an basic economics paperback. There's no correlation. It's insane.
What about paying for things like NHS? Education, in fact, in all those areas they're striking, calling for more money. For more money, which they're getting from our taxes. If you're saying to put taxes down, they're going to get even less money.
Yeah, great question. But then can somebody please tell me why 24 hours after raising taxes again in his November statement, in his recent statement, Jeremy Hunt deferred the £30 billion of services cuts that were necessary to fill the black hole. There wasn't a black hole. In fact, many think tanks have said that if Rishi used and Jeremy used the same calculations they did when Rishi was Prime Chancellor, we would have had a surplus of 14 billion, not an alleged black hole of 55.
Okay, well, let's listen. Let's listen to Boris Johnson speaking to Nadine Dorries about our taxes. Have a listen.
I don't feel it. I don't feel it. The Sir Crasharoony snooze fest, the human bollard, Keir Starmer, that is, he thinks that he's going to get people to vote Labour just by standing there and doing that. It's not going to happen. The economy will start to improve.
Okay, well, he was talking Boris Johnson there, former Prime Minister, talking about Keir Starmer, and doesn't have much hope in him becoming the next Prime Minister. But yes, he also spoke about taxes, and his belief is we should be cutting taxes. And actually, that was one of the reasons why him and Rishi Sunak fell out. Number 11, number 10 weren't agreeing on bringing taxes down. Rishi was happy to have it go up. Boris was calling for him not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are the highest taxed country in the UK and Europe.
It's extraordinary under Tories.
70 years, the highest tax in 70 years. It's unbelievable. Why is this going on? Because they're building up a war chest for the next election. Now, I just really enjoyed last night with Nadine and Boris, but I was saddened to hear Boris refer to the reason for the tax cuts is so that they can win the next election. It's all about them, not about us. They need to cut taxes, not as he said, in the next 18, 24 months. They need to cut taxes now. It's incredible. It doesn't stop inflation.
So, talking about the head of Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, he was actually speaking up our economy, saying things could look good, talking about inflation. It's going to come down this year quite drastically and continue to go down over the next 2 years. Number one, also, apparently we didn't go into recession when we thought we were going to go into recession, but yet still he rose the base rate of interest rates. Why?
Duh. I'm sorry, I mean no disrespect, but this just goes on and on. I don't know how long I and others need to say this. Raising interest rates is the biggest mistake that anyone could make. We've had 10 of them. How can you cripple British business, make people lose their homes because you're combating inflation by cutting interest rates? Come on, we're not spending. You raise interest rates when people are overspending, when you have the other kind of inflation, demand push. This is insane, and the media is buying it generally. We're being told, I read an article yesterday that Andrew Bailey is fighting the flames of inflation. Well, I'm sorry. Energy prices, petrol, inflation are all falling as they do naturally with this kind of inflation, which doesn't involve consumer demand. This is basic economics. And the saddest thing, CL, is that we are being misled grossly. We're being gaslighted. We're being told this is all for our good when it's completely the wrong thing to be doing. I'm just beside myself with frustration.
I'm actually really confused. Really, I'm not an economist. However, as my job, I got to look into the world of finances. Also, I'm a human being. Things, I got to pay for things, I got to pay bills. And so I'm understanding this a lot more the last 10 years of my life than I used to, which is why, let's go back to Liz Truss actually, which is why I'm very surprised. I've spoken to you about this before. I was very surprised how she was pushed out, not by us, but by the likes of Andrew Bailey. And it's interesting that with him, interest rates are going up. But with Liz Truss, she was trying to do a lot in terms of, she was trying to cut taxes, and she said she wants to make a comeback, and she still stands firm. She thinks what she was trying to do was correct.
Yeah, I think that she set herself on a path to the edge of the cliff, and there's no doubt that she was pushed off. And I think that her proposal to cut taxes rings a lot more of helping the people, of helping us, rather than just people getting elected, all about them, their jobs. Will she make a comeback? Would she be able to? Who knows? Will Boris? I don't know. On my regular U.S. radio spot on Thursday, I was talking about the fact that publications like The Spectator are saying Boris was in America last week because he wants to run for president. So, who knows? Anything is possible.
He couldn't he? He was born in America, right?
He would have to, there was a whole discussion on the program, which was fascinating. He would have to reapply for the American citizenship he gave up in 2016.
But he
absolutely could. And I think the Americans would love him. They love the British accent and all the... No, I mean, they would love
amazing.
It. They would love him.
I have to say,
can you imagine?
That would be I don't think he could take American politics. American politics is
tough, and I think he could take it.
Absolutely, really.
I think absolutely.
That means he'll be standing up against, because it obviously is going to be Republican, right?
I've spent some weeks,
and that I have to compare to. I'm not showing allegiances or which party I prefer, but the Republican is the fiercest.
I've spent
especially saw what happened at Congress.
Yeah, I've spent a couple of weeks as an observer with friends in the Oval Office in the White House. I have never seen such ruthless people. I mean, but I'm sure he's got the charm to survive. He could.
I love American politics. I'm not throwing shade in America, but it's fierce because money. There's a lot of money involved.
Absolutely.
And that's when money just makes people crazy.
Absolutely. But this interest rate thing, CL, is getting worse and worse, and he's going to raise it some more.
Do you think so?
Well, they said it might go to 4.5%.
This wouldn't. I know lots of people don't like Mark Carney because of the comments he made over Brexit, but this wouldn't have happened under him.
This wouldn't have happened under anybody else, I think. In 2009 to 2012, we had the same kind of cost push inflation we do now. The people running the Bank of England then sat on the interest rate, which was 0.5% for 3 years and didn't touch it. And the inflation ran itself out, just like it's doing here in lots of other countries. And by the way, in all those other countries, US, Canada, Israel, Germany, etc., you don't hear prime ministers or finance ministers claiming that they're the ones who are stopping it.
It's very, very frustrating, as you say, Dr. Roger Rob. Thank you so much. Always good having you on Talk TV.
Thank you.
Okay, you are watching Claudia and Liza on Talk TV. See you after the break.